Hey yo everybody, Haku here with my review of this week's new The Walking Dead episode. So that would be Season 7, Episode 3, The Cell. And I'm not gonna lie, I had really high expectations for this one. And it was a really weird episode. It was an odd episode, to say the least. I don't know, just something about it seemed very different and a little off. I don't know what it was. But there was a lot of good about this episode, a lot of meh, a lot of not so good. And I'll try to go through it as best I can, part by part. Just starting it off, I guess, there was one thing that I keep seeing brought up in the comments, like a bunch of people saying that this episode that we got commercialed to hell and back. And I did perceive that as well. It felt like, I don't think there actually were any more commercial breaks or more commercials than usual, but it certainly felt like it. It felt like an odd amount of commercials. Because I was working on stuff for school during commercial breaks. So I was like, I am working a lot more than I feel like I should be. Do we really have that many commercial breaks? It was just really odd. But the first thing about the episode, and the thing that honestly might be my favorite part of the episode, was the introduction. I loved seeing how Dwight just lives his everyday life, like juxtaposed against all the terrible shit going on at the sanctuary. I just really, I like how they showed the Who's the Boss reruns. Just this happy, peppy music, him making a sandwich while all this terrible shit's going on, and he just looks at the terrible shit like, what am I even doing with my life? I really love that. And also, no comic spoilers here, but the girl, I'm not going to be giving any comic spoilers. That does not really, because I can avoid them with the reviews, really. But the thing is, this chick that he was playing air hockey with was Laura from the comics, and I'm not gonna say who she is or anything like that to spoil anything, but like in the comics she has like this short buzzed hair and piercings everywhere, so she has a way different look in the show. But I like that we're getting to see her this early on, because it's like she doesn't show up in the comics for like a while from now, so like to see her this early on in a way like this, I think that's pretty cool, that the way they did that. Let's see. Next up we had Dwight feeding Darrell the dog food sandwich, and he's locked in a cell naked and everything, and they're playing that song to torture him, and I thought that song was hilarious. It's been stuck in my head legit all day. I've had to look it up, and I've had to listen to it 1,000 times probably, just because it is stuck in my head so badly. And my hope for this is that sometime, 10 episodes or more down the line, Darrell just instinctively, without even noticing it, just breaks into humming that song or something. Oh, I'd love that so much. Or he starts humming the song and then realizes what he's doing. He's like, oh god, no. I just hope that somewhere way down the line in the future we see that it's like ingrained into him or something. That'd be the funniest thing. I really hope they have that. So then we see Emmett, Carson, and Sherry. And Emmett Carson, they did a pretty different thing for him for the show. So I'm really interested to see what they do with him, and I like what they've done with Sherry for the show. Again, not saying anything from the comics, but I like what they've done with her, and she actually tries to warn. To a part, I like what they've done with her, but there are some issues I have with it that I'll bring up later. But I like that she tries to warn Darrell. She's like, okay, just do whatever they tell you. It doesn't matter if you really care or really believe the junk or not. Just do what they tell you. Survive, because you're going to want to. You're going to want to do what you're told. So I like that we had that thrown in there. Then Dwight talks to Negan while this guy, Fat Joey, guards Darrell. And throughout this episode, Fat Joey to me looks a lot like JonTron. Like if somebody puts a picture of him up beside JonTron, they look really similar to me. Then we have Dwight warning Darrell at the gate, or at the fence that we saw. We saw this in the second promo or whatever, where he's like, you could be them, or me, or them, referring to the dead guys on the spikes, the guys working for points putting them on the spikes, or like me, you could be a savior. Then Dwight, we have this sort of thing where Dwight was like, or Darrell was like, I'm not kneeling, and Dwight was like, I said that too, showing Dwight used to be like Darrell, but the saviors changed him in a way, or they broke him at least. So Darrell starts losing it in his cell eventually, and Negan tells Dwight that it's working and like breaking him down is working, and he offers to he offers to let Dwight eat at the Pussy Bar for free, and that was a really funny scene. I think it was a test. I think that Dwight was supposed to decline it. I really think that Negan was testing him here, and Dwight was able to see through it. Another thing with Dwight, I've been saying in the comics, and again, no spoilers, but I've been saying in the comics, some of the stuff that Dwight knows and is able to do, I feel like maybe he was in the military in some way. And even for the show, like, they have him, he's like whittling soldiers and stuff, and he knows how to break people psychologically, like he's trying to break Darrell. It really seems like Dwight has some sort of experience with this sort of thing. I don't know what he did in the past, but for some reason to me, it seems like Dwight had some sort of experience with this sort of stuff. Or at least he had some knowledge of it. That doesn't necessarily mean experience, he just studied up on it or something. So then I love Negan and Dwight's on-screen chemistry a lot. The two of them together, in just about every scene they were together, I loved it. Because I love the interactions between the two. Once again, bringing comics into it, I love the interactions there. So to see them on screen and to see these two characters brought to life in the way they were, the acting was probably a high point for this episode. We haven't got to really any of my negative points yet, because the early parts of this episode were really enjoyable to me. Just seeing the sanctuary without it being force introduced at us, I think it was pretty good. And then they get a call that there's a runaway, and Dwight said he's going to go after him. Again, I think trying to gain Negan's trust, trying to get as close to Negan as possible, because it's pretty clear that even though Dwight's trying to make the best of the situation and trying to say, well, at least we're alive, it seems like he still doesn't like or trust Negan. He's still trying to put himself in the best position he can here. So while he's gone, Joey doesn't lock Darrell's cell, and Darrell fails the test by trying to run. And again, a great Negan scene. And I love this because I always felt like, Negan's whole life is like one big, twisted, horrible, evil dad joke. And that's how he was with Darrell, like, when he, threatened to swing Lucille at him, or when he's like, she's not thirsty today, but I am, so I'm gonna go get a drink. The way that Negan has been pulled off with the writing with Jeffrey Dean Morgan was done so well here. I loved that scene. And Dwight is on the road at the overpass, and it feels like we're missing a scene. We see the walker fall at him, we see him dive out of the way, but the thing is, he only dropped the bike on its side and dove out of the way, yet the next time we see him, the spokes and wheel are all broken, he is very, very hurt, kind of limping around. It just seemed like him falling over to the side and dropping the bike to the side would not have caused all that at all. So it just seems odd to me. It feels like we're missing something here, and I have no idea what it is. Maybe we'll be shown later, maybe not. I have no idea what's going down. So then Sherry apologizes to Darrell back at his cell, saying, you said that we'd be sorry. I am. Then Dwight, finding the dude, goes complete savage, I'll dig up your wife and feed her to the crows. Complete savage Dwight. And then he actually mercy kills the guy, shoots him in the back, and that was his friend. And again, calling back to how Dwight was like, once you kill people, there's no going back, and now showing that he killed Denise, he killed this guy, he does kill people. But I like that he granted the guy death and mercy instead of having to suffer at the hands of Negan, because if he went back there, he was for certain going to suffer at the hands of Negan. So Dwight offered him that mercy, but also he had to leave him as a walker, had to bring him back, because Negan wanted this dude back. So I think that it was cool the way Dwight's still trying to gain Negan's trust, and yet doing kind of the good thing as well, because he couldn't let the guy go. Even if he said, okay, just make a run for it, where was the guy gonna go? Negan has all the communities around here. It's like there's nothing he could do. So then we've got got all that. Then we've got the stairwell scene with Sherry and Dwight, and again it seems like Dwight is just trying to convince himself, okay, things are going to be all right. We're going to find a way to deal with this and to live on. This is just what life is for right now. So I think Dwight is still trying to convince himself this is what we had to do and this is what I have to do at the moment. But I still don't think that Dwight is totally cool with Negan. Like, Negan's like, we cool? He's like, yeah, we're cool. And then the narrator comes in, but little did Negan know, Dwight was not cool. So, yeah, I don't think he's that cool with Negan. Then Dwight attacks Darrell with the feels. He puts on the sad music, gives him the picture of Glenn, just hits him with the feels. Then he takes him to Negan, where Negan explains Dwight's story. And this was both an amazing scene and the worst thing about the episode at the same time. A thing with writing is you're always told to, like, show, don't tell. But they pretty much just told us. They were like, let's just say everything and not actually show anything. Not saying we needed flashbacks. I don't think we did need flashbacks. But I would have liked to have seen it more instead of just, hey, let me tell you this story right quick. Or see it happen to somebody else, something similar happened. There's a chance we'll see that later, but I don't like how they told the story. And also, the biggest issue for me, the most disappointing thing this episode, was that they said Dwight just came back. I don't like that at all. I think it would have made a lot more sense in the story for them to have captured him than for him to just say, okay, I stole Darrell's bike, I could just ride off into the sunset, but nah, let me go back. I don't like that. I know that he was thinking about Sherry and he's like, it's safe for her there, but it was just a really stupid move, and I don't like that the writers had that. So then we have the who are you scene, and Darrell's like, Darrell. So I felt like the reaction there was like Dwight is like Darrell's older brother, and then he's like acting up, and Dwight's like, don't embarrass me in front of Dad. And then once they get back to the cell, it's clear that Dwight cares about Darrell in his own way. Like, he's trying to break him to keep him alive and to save him. Because he's like, just listen to Negan, just do what Negan says, and that will keep you here alive, just become a savior. And it's like Dwight's trying to save him in his own way, and Darrell says, I get why you took it. I get why you took the deal. I get why you're taking Negan shit. It's because you cared about Sherry, you're trying to save her, you cared about somebody else. But that's why I can't. I don't have that same situation. If I took Negan's deal, I'd be doing it, and it seems stupid, but if he took Negan's deal, I'd be doing it for myself. By not taking it, I couldn't do it for somebody else. So I think that's what Darrell's getting at, and then we just end the episode with seeing the dude Dwight shot on the fence as one of the walkers, and more of Dwight just being disgusted and angry at the situation he's trapped in. So for the episode as a whole, I found that one of the things that the fandom tends to hate the most, and one of the worst things with the show, some of the worst episodes are because of it, is Quiet Darrell. The first 3 seasons, Darrell talked shit, he talked trash, and he was a really great and enjoyable character. Then starting in season 4, he was alright, and in season 5 and 6, a lot of people fell out of love with Darrell's character, because season 5 and 6, he's just quiet. I love season 6, episode 10, I think, because it feels like the old Darrell again. And almost this entire episode, Darrell was completely silent. So we get the shitty, quiet Darrell pretty much all episode. Also, them telling rather than showing us stuff, I just did not like. I think that was a big mistake on their part. I think we had good Dwight development, but I don't think we got enough Dwight development to justify it being an entire episode, Like, I feel like an entire episode focused on him, we should have done a bit more. Maybe we should have saved it for a little bit later. I don't know. It seemed like we spent a whole bottle episode trying to develop Dwight, and while it did work to an extent, it just wasn't enough to justify an entire episode of The Walking Dead, I feel. I liked the style that it was filmed in a bit, and I liked the acting, of course. The acting was great this episode. I love Jeffrey Dean Morgan. Norman Reedus did great, even though I'm just sad with what they're doing with Darrell. He was such a great character. I don't think we need just this quiet Darrell all the time. It's really not good. But the episode as a whole, yeah, it just felt weird at times. That one scene felt missing. It just felt off. There were times when it felt just really just different. Not like The Walking Dead, and not necessarily in the best way. It just feels like they could have done a lot of things better, or yeah, it just seems like they could have done a lot of things better. So Dwight's leaving sequence, I feel like it wasn't necessarily necessary. I feel like they just got rid of him so that they could do the Darrell scene with Darrell trying to escape, and that's the only reason they did it. And it did help develop Dwight a little. I think they could have done so much more, so much better. It seemed like a bit of a letdown, honestly. That's the biggest thing. It seemed like a bit of a letdown. So I think they could have done way, way better. And I like the changes they're making to Sherry in the show, because in the comics, again, not really spoilers, Sherry, I think, is a complete and total bitch. I can't stand her, because it's more like in the comics, it's more like she chose to become Negan's wife to make it easier on herself, and Dwight still loves her, but she's like, nah, being with Negan makes it easier and safer for me. So she's kind of a bitch. I really cannot stand Sherry in the comics. And that's what makes me kind of like her in the show. It kind of takes away from Dwight a tiny bit, but not that much. But I like the way Dwight tried to say, okay, kill me, let her live. And she was like, no, I'll marry you, let Dwight live. It sort of makes them closer to equals in this. And it really makes it so she saved him in a lot of ways, even though he's living in this hell. So I like that they have her side of things. And I like that she talked to Darrell multiple times. I think that they're doing a good job developing her, because developing Dwight, I was like, there's not enough, but that's because Dwight is like a really, really important character. Even in the show we've seen, he is an important character so far. Sherry is less important both to the show and comics so far, so it's nice. I think the development we got for her was more than nice. And for those of you, I'll save that for the end. Overall, for the score, I thought it was good. I still thought it was an enjoyable episode. And I think just about every episode of The Walking Dead is enjoyable. I could definitely rewatch this a few times. But it wasn't great. There was a lot of things that were either meh or not very good. And it was another bottle episode not done very right. Just pretty much, a lot of people hate The Walking Dead bottle episodes, and this one was another bottle episode not done very right. Or not done very right. So yeah, I'll give it 7.5 pussy bars out of 10. And that's pretty much all I've got of it. And that's it. So like, comment, subscribe, and all that for you show-only viewers. I do want to throw in one thing at the end for the comic readers as well. So thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed for you show-only watchers. And I'll see you all next time. And now I'll get into what I wanted to say for comic viewers right before we end it. What I wanted to say is, in a few episodes from now, I am still hoping to see the Carl going to the Sanctuary storyline. Because like a lot of people are like, oh, Spencer's gonna die next episode, and no, he's not. Like, well, I mean, he might, hell, but the thing is, that scene doesn't happen for a while in the comics. Like, I think they're still gonna do something like that, but I don't think it's gonna happen until towards the mid-season. Like, this is going to be them going for their first time to Alexandria. That Spencer shit doesn't happen until like their second or third time when Rick's away at the Kingdom, so Rick has already met the Kingdom by that point. So we're a while away from getting to that. I think you're jumping the gun by thinking that's next episode. Next episode, I think they're going to come collect their shit, and Carl's going to hitch a ride with them back to the Sanctuary, and then somewhere, episode, like 7 or something maybe. Yeah, I think maybe like episode 7, we'll just have Carl at the Sanctuary, because I guess, next episode, episode 4 will be Alexandria, episode 5 will be the Hilltop, episode 6 we'll get Tara and Heath, I would guess and hope, episode 7, Carl at the Sanctuary, episode 8, shit happens, I have no idea. So yeah, those are just some thoughts there for you comic viewers. And that's it. So, if you stuck through all this, like if you did like, or, yeah, comic readers. Either way, like if you did like the video, comment down there, tell me what you thought of my review, what you thought of this episode yourself. I know a lot of you will probably like it more than I did, and a lot of you will probably dislike it a bit more than I did as well. So I'm interested to see what you guys thought. Subscribe for more of The Walking Dead, both comics and TV show, and a ton of other stuff on the channel. And that's it. Follow on Twitter if you want, and I'll try to keep you updated there on stuff for the channel. And thank you once again for watching. I'll see you all next time.